Kia ora, and welcome to Thursday's Economy Watch, where we follow the economic events and trends that affect New Zealand. I'm David Chaston, and this is the international edition from interest.co.nz. And today we lead with news the global economy's track is no clearer. First up, the US Central Bank kept its key policy rate unchanged at 4.5% for the third consecutive meeting, in line with expectations. They're keeping their wait-and-see approach, but watching to see if the tariff taxes drive up inflation and slow economic growth. They say they still see expanded economic activity despite signs net exports are volatile. So far, they haven't seen the jobless rate rise, and labour market conditions remain solid, they say. But they are seeing elevated inflation, and they do foresee risks of higher unemployment and higher inflation. Equity markets dropped on the release, as did benchmark bond yields, but the US dollar hardly moved. Earlier, it was reported that US mortgage application volumes jumped 11% last week from the previous week, ending the three consecutive slumps from earlier in the month. The rebound came after there was another small drop in benchmark interest rates. Across the Pacific, China's foreign exchange reserves rose in April to their highest level in more than 6 months. And staying in China, their central bank said it will cut the reserve ratio requirement by 50 basis points, injecting about $1 trillion in liquidity into their domestic economy. But the cut won't come until May 15, and then will be the first reserve ratio cut in 2025. They also said they'll lower the rate on 7-day reverse repurchase agreements by 10 basis points to 1.40% effective today. This is the first cut to its key policy rate since September 2024 and could lead to cuts in market and other regulatory rates. And despite denials from both sides, both China and the US said they will meet in Switzerland to discuss stuff on Saturday. Interestingly, the Chinese side will be represented by their lead person for US-China economic and trade affairs, but the American side won't be led by the US trade representative, but the more senior Treasury Secretary. In the EU, there were no surprises in their March retail sales volume data, holding flat again. However, there was positive data out of Germany, where factory orders rose 3.6% in March from February, well above market expectations of a 1.3% gain, and putting behind it February's lacklustre result. It was their strongest increase since December, with broad-based gains across all sectors. Meanwhile, Poland cut its official interest rate by 50 basis points to 5.25%. Falling inflation and weak economic activity prompted the move, but it was unusual because they do have elections due on May the 18th, and they are battling Russian election interference. In Australia, regulator ASIC said it has imposed additional conditions on Macquarie Bank's Australian Financial Services licence after multiple and significant compliance failures, some going undetected for many years and one for a decade. And it seems that Peter Dutton wasn't the only party leader to lose his seat at the weekend election. The Greens leader will too. In fact, like the Liberals, the Greens vote fell rather sharply at that election. Separately, the OECD said the global trade in fake goods reached almost $500 billion in the latest data they have, which is for 2021. Posing risks to consumer safety and compromising intellectual property. The breakdown in trade cooperation since won't have lessened the problem. The US Treasury 10-year yield was at 4.28% and down 3 basis points from this time yesterday before the Fed announcement. Then it slipped slightly further to 4.27%. And the price of gold will start today at $3,384 an ounce, down $30 from yesterday. Oil prices are firmer today, up 50 US cents at just on $58.50 a barrel in the US, while the international Brent price is now just under $61.50 a barrel. And the Kiwi dollar is now at 59.7 US cents, down 30 basis points from yesterday at this time. Against the Aussie, we're unchanged at 92.5 Australian cents. Against the euro, we're down 20 basis points at 52.6 euro cents. That all means our trade weight index starts today at just on 67.8 and down 20 basis points. And the Bitcoin price starts today at $96,653 and up 2.2% from yesterday. Volatility over the past 24 hours has been modest though, at plus or minus 1.6%. You can find links to the articles mentioned today in our show notes, and you can get more news affecting the economy in New Zealand from interest.co.nz. Kia ora, I'm David Chaston, and we'll do this again tomorrow.